All right, let's jump right in. We are surrounded by all these amazing green materials made from plants. But what if we could make them so strong we could build just about anything out of them? Well, today we're going to look at some incredible research that does exactly that, using an idea that is, honestly, genius in its simplicity.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds a little out there, right? But just think about it for a second. Could the actual body of the car you drive one day come from something grown in a field, like hemp or jute?
Well, guess what? It's not science fiction. It's already happening. I mean, this research paper points at a great example. Audi. They actually swapped out plastic door panels for a hemp-based material. And get this, it cut the energy needed to make that part by a whopping 45%. That's the kind of potential we're talking about here.
Okay, so what exactly are we talking about here? The official name is Natural Fiber Composites, or NFCs for short. And they are awesome. I mean, they're lightweight, they're sustainable, they're better for the planet, and there's almost always a but, isn't there? They've got this one major flaw, a real Achilles heel that's been holding them back. That weakness has a name, delamination. It's a fancy word, but the idea is super simple. Think about a stack of paper that's been badly glued together. What happens? The pages just peel right apart with almost no effort. That's exactly what can happen with these materials. All the strength is in the layers themselves, but the connection between the layers? That's where things can go very wrong.
And look, this isn't some minor issue. The researchers are really clear on this. Delamination is one of the biggest, most common reasons these composites fail. It's the roadblock. It's the number one thing stopping us from using these amazing materials everywhere, from cars to buildings.
Now, what's so cool here is that you can literally see the problem. This is what it looks like under a microscope. See how that break is so clean? That's bad news. It means the layers just gave up and peeled apart without putting up a fight. The weak glue between them failed long before the super strong fibers inside could even start to do their job. So, this is the core challenge. This hidden flaw, this weakness lurking between the layers. If engineers can solve this one problem, it could unlock a whole new world for these materials. Which brings us to the big question, right? How do you fix that bad glue? How do you force those layers to stick together for good, no matter what stress you put on them?
Well, this is where the study gets really clever. The scientists decided to try two totally different tactics to solve this. One was a chemical approach, and the other was a physical one.
And this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the chemical fix. You can think of it like a paint primer. They coated the natural fibers with a special chemical that helps the epoxy resin, that's the glue, get a much better grip. Then you have the physical fix, and this idea is just brilliant. They mixed in tiny little nylon fibers that act like microscopic staples, literally stitching the layers together from the inside out.
So now we've got team primer versus team staples. Two really smart ideas. But in science, ideas aren't enough. You have to test them. So they decided to put these new materials through the ringer to see which one would come out on top. They used something called a double cantilever beam test. Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful. But forget the name, the concept is simple. All they do is start a tiny crack between the layers and then use a machine to pull them apart, measuring exactly how much force it takes. It's basically the ultimate scientific test to see how stubborn a material is when you try to peel it. So they ran all the tests, they crunched all the numbers, and the results were pretty shocking. I mean, both methods helped, sure, but one of them didn't just work. It completely dominated. Okay, check this out, because this chart says it all. The raw material, our starting point, has a toughness of about 0.6. Now, the chemical primer, it helps. It bumps it up to almost 0.8, so that's a decent improvement. But then, look at the staple material. Wow, it shoots all the way up to 1.4. That is more than double the original. That's not just a little better, that's a whole different league. To put a single number on it, an 80% increase. That's insane. They made the material 80% more resistant to peeling apart to its number one weakness just by sprinkling in some tiny little staples. That is incredible. But you know how it goes in science and engineering. There's really no such thing as a free lunch. When you make a material this much better at one thing, you usually have to pay a small price somewhere else. And that's exactly what happened here. So here's the trade-off. While those little staples were amazing at stopping the layers from peeling, they actually made the material a little bit weaker when you pull on it lengthwise. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it, right? The staples are going up and down, stitching the layers together. They're not helping when you pull side to side. In fact, they kind of get in the way of the long plant fibers that give the material its lengthwise strength.
And really, these two pictures tell the entire story. On the left, you've got the original, weaker sample. Look how clean that break is. It just snapped. But on the right, that's our stapled champion. It's a total mess. You see all those fibers sticking out? That's what you want to see. That beautiful mess means the material put up a huge fight. It took way more energy to break it apart. That, right there, is what toughness looks like under a microscope.
Okay, so let's bring this all back home. What's the big picture? What does a lab experiment with some plant fibers and microscopic staples actually mean for you and me? Here's what it all boils down to. That chemical primer, it helps, but only a little. Those physical staples, though, they are a total game changer. They directly attack and fix the material's single biggest weakness. And by solving that problem, this technique could finally open the door for us to use these strong, reliable green materials in all sorts of new products.
Which really leaves us with this one incredible thought. These researchers took a material from nature, found its greatest weakness, and completely solved it with a really clever, pretty simple fix. So if we can do that, what else is possible? What other secrets are hiding in nature, just waiting for a little bit of human ingenuity to unlock them?